to the dentist because of a phobia. Claire Clements is from Positive Pants, an organisation focusing on children's mental health. Hey Claire, how you doing?
Hello, good, thank you.
So why are so many kids afraid of the dentist, Claire?
I think a lot of fears with young people do actually come from the parents themselves, in many different ways. But then, it could be that they've had a bad experience, or they've heard bad things, or it could have been depicted in the media, on TV programmes. It's just one of those standard things, isn't it, that we feel that there should be something not nice about it. And those messages, unfortunately, feed in and get reinforced over time to create phobias.
2 in 5 is quite a lot though, isn't it, Claire?
It is really high, but I would be really interested to know what the data is for how many adults also are, have phobias of the dentist, or, don't take their regular appointments.
You know what? In a way, I'm not surprised when it comes to the phobia of the dentist, because when I was younger, I think my sister was quite scared. She didn't have a phobia, she was scared. And maybe it's important for us to maybe make a distinction between those two things, actually. How are we defining phobia in this conversation? Which is different to being a bit scared, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is a conversation actually that I have with every single family that I ever work with. So, for example, they would often say, my child is anxious, or I might work with a 7-year-old who describes themselves as being anxious. And one of the things that we can do is to make that language more relevant to the situation, because if we go straight in by talking about phobias and anxiety, you're kind of really talking about that top level, experience. And actually, it may not be that. It might be that we're just a bit worried or concerned or unsure. And it's really important that we work out a way to sort of give that language a way that's, more sort of manageable, something that we can actually do something about, rather than it having that weight and heaviness of being so scary.
Yeah, totally. And the language that you use is so important in terms of how much it can influence your mind. For example, if I was to say, I'm scared of dogs, I'm scared of dogs, I'm scared of dogs, I'm telling myself I'm scared of dogs. I'm not scared of dogs, for the record. But do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, It's sort of, you're telling yourself, if you're vocalising it. And so, for example, if you're vocalising, I've got anxiety, or I'm scared of the dentist, or I've got a phobia of the dentist, you're telling yourself that's the case, which isn't going to help, I suppose, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that our brain is absolutely hardwired to do is to find things that reinforce. And when we're saying negative things, there is more power to them. So like you say, by saying I'm scared of dogs, or, I'm scared of the dentist, you are feeding that message to your brain. And your brain doesn't know the reality, to kind of what's imagined. It just takes those signals. And because we're always looking out for kind of fear, because that's what we do as humans, we want to evolve, we want to protect ourselves. Our brain is just feeding that message and making it stronger and stronger, so that we don't know the difference between reality and what might be imagined.
So if you are scared of going to the dentist, for example, what would perhaps be a better way to try and find the language that might be more helpful when tackling the fear?
I mean, obviously, I work with a lot of families, and we look at all the different emotions that it could be, anything that feels challenging, taking that moment to actually sit with the emotion and try and describe, where in your body you're feeling it, what it actually feels like. Is it comparable to an experience that you've had at school, perhaps, when it's been, you've come home really upset? Or is it just that kind of anticipation of something? And often that's it. We're not sure what's going to happen, so we imagine the worst case scenario. So almost kind of, that role play of what would be the very worst that could happen. How likely is that? Which is usually quite a low percentage. And actually, what's the best outcome? And the likelihood is you're going to meet somewhere in the middle, if not on the more positive side.
So how do you get from that point of answering those questions, say if it's the anticipation, say if it's, okay, we're going to role play a bit here, but if I'm a child or even an adult and I'm scared of going to the dentist, and I say that I've got a phobia, actually the thing I'm really apprehensive about, that gives me butterflies in my belly and makes me feel nervous, is being in the waiting room beforehand and then sitting on the chair and sort of meeting them. It's that whole clinical element of it. Then where do we go?
Yeah, so again, it's, using things that are more positive references. There's a lot of kids' TVs where they might do like a depiction of, a nice visit to the dentist. Search out some of those things, particularly for younger children. You could actually, look up the dentist online and make sort of provisions so that you actually maybe give the dentist a call beforehand, and ask, for a little bit of reassurance. Ask, what the setup is like. Most websites have photos, things like that can make it more real, so that you're stripping back some of the uncertainties so that you kind of know what to expect, and give themselves something to look forward to afterwards as well. It's a small snapshot of time, and the more that you can do to be in control of that situation, and that you can inform your child of it, because they are not involved in it. They might not have been to the dentist before, or like I say, only a couple of times, not had a great experience. That real positive reassurance, and also leading as a role model, by showing them that it's okay, that it's easy. You can hold their hands while they're in the chair. You can even sit on the chair yourself. Dentists are very open to making things as easy as possible, because they want you to get the care that you need.
And if 2 out of 5 children avoid going to the dentist because of a phobia, then, I definitely know the dentist will be very used to it, won't they? They've often got like stickers on tap. I remember when I was a kid, I was a bit gutted that my little sister got a sticker and I didn't, because she was scared and I wasn't. I was sort of sorry, that doesn't seem fair to me. What are the other tips and things that you think would be quite helpful for parents when it comes to taking their kids to the dentist, in case they are fearful?
Yeah, like I say, it's really getting to know the environment, and, maybe seeing even the dentists as humans. They've got this kind of persona. So, just kind of make it really relevant to them. Talk about, times that you've been to the dentist when it's been nothing. And if it means you've got to give them a sticker yourself at the end, then, that's certainly an easy way to do it. But, it's one of these things that, for all sort of, whether we call it an actual phobia or whether it's a fear, it's the earlier you can start talking about it, the earlier you can make it part of a routine. Talk about it in terms of, they really just want to check that you're brushing your teeth properly. Rather than them thinking, I'm going to go and they're going to take all my teeth out.
Yeah.
Because actually that's the reality, isn't it? It's a health check. Is everything okay? Are there any signs that we're looking for? Rather than our brain going straight to the worst case scenario.
Thank you so much, Claire. That's been really helpful, and I actually think there's a lot that you've spoken about in the conversation that would also apply to us as adults. That we could probably take away as adults, as well as hopefully our children and young people as well. Claire Clements there from Positive Pants, an organisation focusing on children's mental health.